What's up everybody, it's Carl, aka Carl Drum Tech, and today let's talk about how Star Wars can help you with your drumming. Cue the music. Alright, if you guys are finding me for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, red button down below that says subscribe. That way you're notified anytime I put out a new video in regards to marching arts, marching bands, drum lines, interpercussion, drum corps, all that good stuff. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single upload. Now also make sure that notification bell is ringing as well. That way for sure you'll be notified anytime I put out a new video. So subscribe. Make sure that notification bell is ringing. And let's get to the video. Okay, so Star Wars. Yeah, how could that help you with drumming? Well, let me explain. Spoiler alert if you've never seen Star Wars. If you've never seen Star Wars and you plan on seeing it, make sure you turn off this video, watch that first, and then come back here. But anyways, all right, for those of us who have watched it, which is most people, Star Wars, like even with the very first movie, Star Wars, right? It's like you heard the term Clone Wars. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi fought in the Clone Wars.
You fought in the Clone Wars?
Yes. I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
And basically, right, you had the prequel series after that, and it talks about, by the second movie, you have a formation of the clone army and how that came about, right? So when I think about clones, right, you think about like, okay, each individual clone, in this case in Star Wars, each individual clone trooper was exactly the same. Like they're carbon copy of Jango Fett, and yeah, it's same DNA, same look, everything, right? Now, when I think about clones or cloning, I can apply this to drumming. How so? Okay, well, a lot of exercises are what? Repetitive, right? So they're the same thing over and over again. Why do you think they're so repetitive? Because you're working on consistency, right? So, for example, if you do bucks twos, the idea is, I did 4 of them, right? They should all be the same sound, same volume, same spacing, same height, right? So if they're kind of doing this, they're not all the same. Each one is different, right? So your goal is to make sure that the first one you play is good, and then everyone after that, the second, third, and fourth, is an exact clone of that first one. Okay, so I just did my best there. I think I came in early in that last note, but you know, like the goal is to make exact clone copies. Okay, so like if you played like ABC, okay, all 4 of those double strokes should be the same space, same height, same volume. You get the drift. So you don't want to, right, to all be different. Okay, so when you think about all these repetitive exercises, it's very easy to get caught up in the idea that, oh, it's the same thing over and over again. There's no variety, there's no spice of life. It's just the same thing over and over again. Like, I don't like doing this, it's so boring, right? But you need to look at it another way, right? You need to think about why you're doing something so repetitive, okay? You're doing it repetitively because your goal is to make them all the same. And if they're not the same, right? So use your eyes, okay, to watch the heights and everything, right? Use your ears to hear to see if they're doing the same thing, if they sound all the same, right? And if they're not, that's where you have room to grow. That's where you can keep getting better, all right? So try to look at it as when you do a repetitive exercise, they should be exact clones of each other. What about like, you know, harder stuff? Like let's say you do 4 flam accents. Okay, again, each flam accent, chakata, should be an exact clone of each other. Okay, what about flam drags? Right, you don't want to, right, to all be different. They should all be chatigada. Okay, and then you just clone it. Chatigada, 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 chatigada. Okay, so might have had some variation there, but you know, that's where I would have some room to grow, which is just, you know, trying to make each one the exact clone of the other. Okay, so when you play repetitive exercises, just remind yourself, think about Star Wars. Think about the clone army. Think about clone troopers. Think about the Clone Wars, okay, and just use that to help you with your drumming. I also use Star Wars in another analogy. So for example, there's a 16-note diddle grid. where you move the diddles around each partial. Okay, that third part, right, where the diddle's on the third partial, what does that sound like to you? If we're talking about Star Wars. It's like Duel of Fates, right? Every single time I teach this to my students, if you're a student of mine, you've definitely heard this analogy where think about Duel of Fates when playing that third part. And still, it works the same in that, yeah, they should all be clones of each other, because it would be weird if the song went like this. Right? They all sound the same. And then you want to execute the exact same thing by making them all sound similar. And therefore, you are building your consistency. Does that make sense? All right, so when you are working, all right, these repetitive exercises, know what the goal is. It's not to bore you. It's not to be like, not give you any variety. It's just about, working on your consistency. And if you can get them to be all the same, like clones, you will achieve that consistency, and then you'll be a better drummer overall. Also, repetition is also good for just building chops and getting familiar with the actions that you are doing. But for the most part, understand what the goal is. Okay, the overall goal is to build that consistency. Okay, so cool, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. This lesson was short and sweet, and you got something out of it. So if you did, do me a huge favor, hit that like button down below. If you have any questions or comments, have any additional thoughts as far as like repetitive exercises go, leave that in the comments below as well. Or if you just want to talk about Star Wars, we can do that too. Otherwise, also if you have not subscribed yet, after I told you to subscribe, make sure you subscribe. It's that red button down below. That way you are notified anytime I put out a new video. I try to put out a new video every single week, so yeah, make sure you don't miss a single upload. And if you feel like this video could help somebody else out, somebody who's currently working on some very repetitive exercises and they're getting bored, all right, show them this video. Tell them, just think about Star Wars, and then they'll get it, okay? Maybe after watching this video, they'll get it, when you say, hey, Star Wars, okay, Clone Wars, Clone Troopers, okay? All right, so just as I mentioned last week, we are doing Subscriber of the Week, and this week's Subscriber of the Week is Andy Madditz. Andy, thank you so much for subscribing, and I really appreciate you watching and commenting on my last video. Much appreciated. And yeah, if you want to be featured next week, make sure you comment on this video and make sure obviously you subscribe, and then for your chance to be featured on my next video next week. Alright, so cool. Guys, again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. May the Force be with you, and make sure you watch more of my videos by clicking over here and subscribing over here. Peace. Catch you guys on the next video. Pew!